My brother was always the golden child, until he burned our family to the ground and took me with him. I grew up in British Columbia, in a small town where everyone knew everyone's business and your last name either gave you prestige or stained you forever. Ours was the former. My father was a respected property developer who'd turned a sleepy lakeside community into a well-oiled suburban dreamland. My mother was the type who ran fundraisers for new hospitals, wore pearls to church, and cared more about reputation than actual kindness. And then there was my brother, Ethan, the golden boy. If you asked anyone in our town who the perfect son was, they'd say Ethan. Star athlete, student council president, effortlessly charming. He could crash a car and people would thank him for the dents. Meanwhile, I was the quiet one. Sam, the artsy younger brother who never lived up to the family name. I didn't cause trouble, but I never sparkled the way Ethan did. It was like living under a spotlight I didn't ask for, constantly compared to a son I could never outshine. My parents adored him. I don't use that word lightly. They worshipped him like he was a prophecy fulfilled. They framed his participation ribbons, bragged about his grades, even though I graduated with a better GPA, and when he got accepted into UBC's business program, they treated it like a Nobel Prize. I, meanwhile, went to OCAD for fine arts, fully paid by a small grant and part-time work. My parents didn't even visit the campus. The cracks started showing when Dad retired and handed partial control of the family business, Dawson Developments, to Ethan. I had no stake in it. I never wanted one, but what I did want was my peace. I was living in Toronto at the time, selling graphic designs and doing all right. I hadn't talked to Ethan in almost a year when I got a call from Mom out of the blue. Dad had a stroke. I flew back that night. He survived, but he wasn't the same. Speech slurred, mobility limited, temper volatile. I ended up staying longer than planned to help. Ethan was nowhere to be seen for the first 2 weeks. He was handling business, Mom said. I saw more of our housekeeper than I did my own brother. Then one day, Ethan finally came home, with his shiny BMW, his tailored coat, and that effortless smirk that made people trust him even when they shouldn't. He barely acknowledged me, went straight to Dad, handed him some paperwork, whispered something I couldn't hear. Dad nodded, tired and confused. That night, I found Ethan alone in Dad's office going through old files. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Cleaning up the mess," he said. I didn't think much of it then. But over the next few weeks, things got weird. Our parents' lakehouse was suddenly on the market, the one Dad always swore we'd keep. The local paper ran a story about Dawson Developments selling off public-use land to a condo builder, something Dad would have never approved of. And when I asked Ethan, he brushed me off. "Things change, Sam. You wouldn't understand." Then I found the paperwork. A stack of documents buried under some books in Dad's study. Power of attorney, transfer of controlling interest, legal sign-offs, all done while Dad was still recovering from his stroke. His signature looked off, like it had been traced. I confronted Mom first. She froze. Then she laughed. This sharp, cold laugh I'd never heard from her before. "Ethan's protecting the family," she said. "You wouldn't know what that means." Protecting? By selling Dad's legacy behind his back? I went to Dad next. He got flustered, angry, started shouting nonsense about betrayal, then broke down crying. Something inside me snapped. I went through every file, every email I could find. Took days, but I uncovered the truth. Ethan had been siphoning money for years, hiding assets, building shell companies, using Dawson Developments as his personal ATM. And when Dad had his stroke, Ethan took it as his golden opportunity to make it all look legitimate. He even got Mom to co-sign the power of attorney papers. Together, they'd iced out Dad and buried the company under a pile of quiet corruption. I gathered everything and threatened to go to the police. That night, my tires were slashed. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. Someone claiming to be an anonymous source warning me to stop digging or things would get messy. I knew it was Ethan. He'd always been too smooth to get his own hands dirty. But he had people now. He had power. When I told Mom, hoping she'd finally choose right over blood, she didn't flinch. She just said, Don't ruin what's left of this family, Sam. I left that night. For months, I stayed silent. I moved back to Toronto, took a job designing for a gaming company, tried to rebuild. But guilt gnawed at me. Dad called once, crying. He didn't remember most days. But he remembered enough to know something had been taken from him. I flew out one last time just to see him. He died a month later. Massive second stroke. Ethan gave a eulogy so polished, so full of manufactured grief, it made my skin crawl. People applauded. Mom wept on cue. I stood at the back, numb. That was last year. Now, Dawson Developments is gone. Absorbed by a larger firm Ethan secretly negotiated with. The lakehouse is luxury condos. The town whispers less now, but I know people remember. And me? I filed a whistleblower report. With every document, every forged signature, every transaction. CRA is investigating. So is the RCMP. It'll take time. But I'm patient. Ethan always thought he was untouchable. That he could use our family's name like a shield while he gutted everything it stood for. But the thing about golden children? Eventually, gold flakes under pressure. And when it does, all you're left with is rot. I'll update when the house of cards falls. It always does. Update 1. The house of cards has a crack. CRA just called me back. So, something moved. Last night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring out. I've been getting a lot of spam calls lately, especially since I posted that whistleblower report. But this one left a voicemail. A woman's voice, professional but clipped. Hello, Mr. Dawson. I'm calling from the Canada Revenue Agency in regard to your submission last year involving Dawson Developments and Ethan Dawson. Please return this call as soon as possible. My hands went cold. I'd submitted everything anonymously, well, as anonymous as possible, given the documents had some of my metadata still attached. But I never expected a callback. I honestly thought it had all been ignored, buried, or worse, handled the way Ethan always managed to handle things. I called back immediately. The agent, let's call her Agent F, didn't mince words. Said she couldn't disclose everything yet, but my report had triggered an internal audit. CRA had been quietly following the money trail for the last 6 months. Offshore transfers, undisclosed assets, real estate purchases in Vancouver under numbered companies that traced back to our family trust. Trusts my father never set up, but that my mother and Ethan had signed off on retroactively using powers of attorney. Agent F said that the forensic accounting team had found significant inconsistencies. That's bureaucratic speak for fraudulent bullshit. They're also working with a financial crimes division from the RCMP. Apparently, once a certain monetary threshold is crossed, and there's evidence of tax evasion and forged documents, the whole thing stops being civil and becomes criminal. Like prison time criminal. I asked if I'd be needed to testify. She said, "Not yet, but we'd appreciate if you didn't speak to anyone involved, especially not Mr. Dawson or your mother," which was almost laughable. My mother and I haven't spoken since the funeral. She sent a mass text about selling Dad's remaining antiques and offering family first dibs, like it was a Facebook garage sale. And Ethan? He doesn't know yet. I know he doesn't, because if he did, he would have tried to find me, or silence me, again. But here's the kicker. Agent F casually dropped something near the end of the call. There's also evidence that your father attempted to alter his will shortly before his first stroke. The lawyer who handled it retired last year, but we've recovered some of the estate documents that were never properly filed. I froze. See, my father's will had always been a point of quiet pain for me. It left most things to my mother, with Ethan as the designated executor. I wasn't bitter, just confused. Dad had always promised we'd fix that later. But after the stroke, he couldn't. I assumed it was too late, that Ethan had locked it all down. But apparently, Dad tried to rewrite everything. There are drafts, emails, even a notarized video message that was saved but never filed. It's being reviewed for legal merit. If it's valid, it doesn't just put me in charge. It strips Ethan of control completely. I don't want the money. I don't want the company. I just want the truth documented. Public. Real. My father may have been manipulated. Silenced. But he wasn't complicit. He fought, and even if he didn't win, he tried. That matters more than I can explain. Ethan's about to find out the empire he built on fraud and family favoritism has termites in the foundation. And I'm done being quiet. This isn't just about the past anymore. It's about accountability and legacy. I'll update when the next shoe drops. It's coming. Update 2. The golden child is panicking, and he finally called me. So, it happened. Ethan knows. I woke up this morning to 8 missed calls. All from numbers I didn't recognize. But one of them left a voicemail. And this time it wasn't an agent or a lawyer. It was him. Hey Sam, listen, I think we need to talk. I don't know what you've been telling people, but this is getting out of hand. Whatever grudge you're holding, it's not too late to settle this. Family doesn't need to go to war, right? Call me back. He actually said grudge. Like I didn't watch him dismantle our father's legacy brick by brick, or spend months cleaning up after the mess he and Mom left behind. Like I didn't find fake documents, hear Dad sobbing after realizing his signature was forged, or get death threats for turning Ethan in. A few hours later, I got an email from his lawyer, not Ethan, asking if I'd be open to private mediation and family dispute resolution. Yeah. Because now that CRA and RCMP are breathing down his neck, he wants to play peacemaker. Suddenly, this isn't just the little brother he ignored his whole life. Now I'm a threat. Let me be clear. I'm not stopping. You want to hear what desperation sounds like? Here's a line from that email. Given the emotional strain on all parties involved, Mr. Dawson believes a resolution outside of court may be in the family's best interest. The family's best interest? You mean like selling Dad's lakehouse behind his back? Or forging his signature while he was drooling in a hospital bed? That kind of best interest? What they don't know is that I've already shared everything with Agent F. The audio messages, the screenshots, the fake company names tied to real estate in Quebec. Even the handwriting analysis report I commissioned privately that shows the new POA signature is not my father's. But here's where it gets even messier. My cousin Jamie, our aunt's daughter, the only relative who ever really stayed neutral, called me tonight. She works at a financial firm in Vancouver and casually mentioned that Mom is trying to liquidate her retirement accounts and move funds offshore. Multiple accounts. Quiet withdrawals. I told her what was happening. She went dead silent. Then she said, Sam, if your mom's moving money that fast, she knows what's coming. They're running scared. And here's the kicker. There's talk of Ethan stepping down from the board of what's left of Dawson Developments. Internally, the staff is calling it a planned restructuring. But sources I still have from my time digging through the mess say it's chaos behind the scenes. Legal panic. CFO threatening resignation. 2 key clients have already pulled contracts because of instability. The golden child's crown is slipping. And for the first time in years, I'm not the forgotten brother. I'm the reckoning. It's not over. There's more coming. I feel it. But this is the first time I've seen fear in Ethan's eyes. And he's still just hiding behind lawyers and old charm. He thinks he can fix this with a call. A coffee meeting. Let's not ruin the family name. But this family was ruined the second he sold it for a bonus and a BMW. Next update might come from a courtroom. Or a press release. Either way, it won't be from behind closed doors. Not this time. Update 3. The truth is a sledgehammer and it just hit my mother. I didn't think I'd be writing this update so soon. But the fallout is happening faster than anyone expected. And this time, the blast didn't hit Ethan first. It hit Mom. Let me rewind to this morning. I was eating breakfast, scrolling through news articles out of habit, when I saw it. Local developer under federal audit for alleged financial misconduct. Right there on the homepage of a major Canadian business journal. And the subtitle? Family Power of Attorney Dispute May Uncover Years of Fraud. They didn't use Ethan's full name. Not yet. But anyone from our town, anyone who's done business with Dawson Developments, knows exactly who it's about. And buried halfway through the article was this line. Sources close to the family say the patriarch's medical incapacitation may have been exploited by close relatives to secure control over company assets. Couldn't breathe. For a second, I genuinely thought I was going to pass out. Not from fear, from validation. From finally being seen. But it gets crazier. By noon, I got a call from Jamie again, my cousin who's been feeding me info. Her voice was shaking. "Your mom's in meltdown mode," she said. Apparently, Mom had stormed into her financial planner's office, demanding answers and screaming about media betrayal and ungrateful children. She threatened lawsuits, yelled at a receptionist, and had to be escorted out of the building. Escorted. My mother, the polished, graceful, pearls and perfume woman who once fainted because someone wore Crocs to a garden party. That woman had a full-on screaming breakdown in public. Why? Because she just got notified that her accounts were frozen pending investigation. That offshore transfer she tried to make last week? Blocked. Her trust account? Flagged. Turns out, Agent F and the CRA weren't just digging through Ethan's paper trail. They were quietly collecting evidence of conspiracy. And since Mom was the co-signer on multiple legal documents, the same ones used to steal power of attorney from my stroke-ridden father, she's now officially a person of interest. The video Will Dad recorded before his stroke? I finally got to see it. He was sitting in his old office, eyes a little unfocused, but his voice was clear enough. He said, "This is to protect what's mine from being taken under false pretenses. I love my family, but Ethan is not ready. And if anything happens to me, I want Samuel to have equal say. He may not be part of the business, but he has a good heart. He won't let it die." I broke down watching it. I hadn't cried like that since the funeral. My father knew. He saw it coming. And Mom and Ethan did it anyway. They ignored his wishes and forged their own legacy over his. But now, it's unraveling. Sources say the RCMP has requested an official interview with Ethan and his legal team is scrambling. Meanwhile, our family lawyer, the one who helped file those forged POA documents, suddenly retired 2 days ago. No statement. No warning. You don't retire midweek with no comment unless you're running. And then, because life doesn't let you breathe, Mom showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. Eyes puffy. No makeup. Hair undone. I've never seen her like that. She didn't even knock properly. Just this weak little knock-knock like she was already defeated. She didn't apologize. Not really. She said, "You've made a mess, Sam. You're going to destroy everything your father built." I told her, "No, Mom. Ethan did that. You helped him. I'm just showing people the ashes." She asked me to withdraw my complaint. I laughed. For the first time in months, I actually laughed in her face. She left crying. And for once, I didn't feel guilty. I know now this isn't about revenge. It's about justice. It's about making sure my father's voice is heard, even in death. That the truth doesn't get dressed up in a suit and paraded around like some polished lie. Ethan's not untouchable anymore. Mom's not above consequence. And I'm not invisible. Next update may take a little time. CRA is getting everything in order, and legal proceedings are starting to formalize. But I'll be here when the next hammer falls. It's not just cracks anymore. It's collapse. Update 4. Ethan's arrest, a family implosion, and the letter my father hid. This is it. The moment everything changed. The golden child has fallen. Ethan was arrested this morning. Real, full-blown, televised perp walk style. Black SUV. Plainclothes RCMP officers. A whole scene outside his luxury condo in Toronto. He looked dazed. Like this was a mistake. Like the world wasn't supposed to touch him. But they cuffed him, read him his rights, and loaded him into the back of a car like he was nobody special. He's being charged with fraud, embezzlement, forgery of legal documents, and obstruction of justice. The CRA and RCMP concluded that he knowingly forged our father's signature on multiple estate documents, diverted millions through shell companies, and attempted to hide corporate assets offshore. Oh, and they found emails between him and our family lawyer, discussing how to quietly override my father's living will. He's not getting out on bail anytime soon. The Crown is arguing he's a flight risk, which, let's be honest, he totally is. Man owns property in the Caymans. But that's not even the most insane part. I got a package today. From Dad's former attorney. The one who retired quietly before all this blew up. Inside was a handwritten letter, yellowed and creased. The envelope was dated 4 years ago, marked to be delivered in the event of my death or incapacitation. For Samuel only. It wasn't long. Just a page. But I swear to God, I've never read anything that broke me and healed me at the same time. My Sam, if you're reading this, then the worst has happened, and I'm afraid you're alone in a storm I should have shielded you from. You've always been the one who stood back and watched, quietly keeping the peace, thinking your value came from staying out of the way. But I saw everything. I saw your kindness, your patience, your strength when everyone else shouted over you. I tried to fix it. I tried to rewrite what was broken. But they were faster than me. I underestimated how desperate your brother was to wear a crown he didn't earn, and how your mother would confuse love with control. Please don't let them bury what matters. Don't let the truth rot under the weight of their lies. I chose you, Sam. I wanted you to have the final word, not for revenge, but for redemption. For the legacy I meant to leave behind. Whatever happens next, know this, I was proud of you. Always. Love, Dad. I couldn't breathe after reading it. I think I sobbed for an hour. All those years feeling like I didn't measure up. Like I wasn't enough. Like being the other son meant I didn't matter. And all along he saw me. He chose me. He trusted me. I'm done letting guilt weigh me down. I've been speaking to the Crown prosecutor. They're building their timeline, and I've been named a witness of material importance. They're even considering opening a civil case against my mother for her role in the fraudulent transfers and coercion. I didn't push for that part, but I won't stop it either. You don't get to break someone like that and walk away. The house Ethan bought with the company's stolen money? It's already under seizure. And rumor has it, several business partners are preparing lawsuits for breach of fiduciary duty. The empire is burning. Meanwhile, I've received messages from former employees, old friends, people I barely knew, thanking me. Some of them apologizing for not believing me when I first raised concerns after Dad's first stroke. Ethan always seemed like he had it together, one of them wrote. But now I see who was really holding the damn house up. I don't know what comes next. There'll be trials, depositions, probably more secrets spilled than I'm ready for. But for the first time in years, I feel something I never thought I would. Peace. This story isn't over. The wreckage is still settling. But for once, I'm not buried underneath it. I'm standing in the sunlight, watching the truth tear through the lies, like it always should have. Final update coming soon. When the dust clears. When justice is done. And when I can finally say goodbye to the man who tried so hard to protect me from all of this, even after he was gone. Final update. The will was real, justice was served, and I walked away, finally free. It's over. For real this time. The dust has finally settled. Yesterday, I stood in the same courthouse where Ethan once strutted in to finalize a deal with city officials. Back when he still believed he was invincible. This time, he was standing in the defendant's box, shackled and pale, in front of a judge who didn't flinch when he read the sentence out loud. 13 years. Federal prison. No parole for the first 8. Fraud. Embezzlement. Forgery. Abuse of power of attorney. Every charge stuck. The RCMP investigation revealed over $12.8 million in misappropriated funds spread across 5 offshore accounts, 3 of which were illegally opened under our father's name after his first stroke. But even more important than the sentence was what came before it. The revelation that silenced the courtroom like a bomb had gone off. Dad's final will was authenticated and made legally binding. That unfiled video testimony held weight. CRA had already confirmed the inconsistencies in the forged POA, and the notary who had mysteriously disappeared 2 years ago was finally found, and gave a full statement. He said, under oath, that he was pressured by Ethan and my mother to sign off on paperwork he hadn't even witnessed properly. The court acknowledged it. And with that, my father's real final wishes were restored. I was named the rightful executor of the estate. All assets seized from Ethan and Mom are being held in trust until the estate is redistributed fairly this time. The lakehouse? Coming back to the family trust. Dawson Developments? Is being dissolved. Creditors are being paid off from what's left. The staff who lost their jobs due to Ethan's negligence are getting severance packages with interest. My mother? She wasn't charged criminally, not enough hard proof, but she's lost everything. Her social circles have turned on her. She's being sued by several former employees for her role in coercive asset manipulation, and she's already sold her downtown condo to cover legal costs. She sent me a letter last week. No apology, just 3 pages of bitterness and veiled blame. I didn't reply. I won't, because here's the truth. Some wounds don't heal with reconciliation. They close over with time, with clarity, and sometimes with silence. As for me, I'm walking away. I sold the condo Ethan bought in my name as part of a hush incentive years ago. Donated half the money to a stroke recovery foundation in Dad's name. With the rest, I'm moving west. I got a job at a nonprofit that helps investigate elder abuse and fraudulent guardianship cases. Funny how life works. I never planned this. But maybe it's exactly where I'm meant to be. I visited the lakehouse last weekend. The locks have been changed, the furniture covered in dust sheets. But the place felt still, honest, like it had exhaled, like it remembered Dad and not the betrayal. I sat on the dock with a thermos of coffee and watched the water reflect the morning sun, just like he used to. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't feel anger, or grief, or rage. I just felt free. To everyone who's followed this story, thank you. I didn't post this for pity or revenge. I did it because stories like mine get buried, dismissed, forgotten. But not this one. This one ends in truth. And sometimes that's the only justice we really need. Thank you for stepping into another tale with me. Every story unlocks a different world, and I'm glad you were here for the journey. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my stories Unchained, where every ending is just the beginning of another adventure. Until next time, keep your mind open and your heart ready for the next story, Unchained.